Throughout the history of Mexico, there has been gender inequality and exclusion,
which continues to persist in so many levels and forms.
such as violence, health, education.
Work life participation in political decisions. So first, to understand the problem, we need to know what does gender mean. Gender is a word which determines the role that sexes play in our society. Another important concept is violence. Violence is the intentional use of physical force or power, threatened or actual, against oneself, another person, or against a group or community. It can be divided into three different types: direct, structural, and cultural. First, direct. Mexico has the unfortunate privilege of creating femicide, which refers to a woman suffering from violence just for being a woman. Since the 1990s, more than 300 of us women have been murdered or missing on the U.S. border of Ciudad Juárez. The militarization of Mexico has increased rape among us by the military and the police. The growing influence of organized crime has increased human trafficking, mainly involving us. Second, structural. We were not given the right to vote until 1953. In 2008, the PAN and PRI parties rejected our right to choose for our own bodies by abolishing legal abortion. Third is cultural. We have been and continue to be responsible for housework. 18% of us cook, 13% clean and raise their children. And the ones of us who work earn 80% of what our male peers do and on. Average work 5 hours longer each week. Talking about gender equality and rights is important because through history, women's rights have been diminished in many areas compared to men's. And now is the time for us to fight against the macho culture in our country, to fight against the exclusion of women that has been inherited for generations, because in order to have a good life quality, every human being should have an equal set of rights.
The rights that we violate every day in Mexico are the right to a life free of violence, because according to CEAMEG, 7 women a day are killed in Mexico since 2013. Sexual and reproductive rights, because not all of the states let women decide on their body. This means to abort even when it was the product of violent acts. Right to work, because there are still women who cannot decide if they work or not. It is a decision taken by their husbands or partners. The approaches the government can make are including more women in the political sector, because how can we choose and fight for our rights if, as of now, men are the ones choosing for us? If we remain the same, with men mostly in power, we most likely won't achieve much, because men see this from a different perspective and have other priorities. And as for cultural violence, we think it's essential for us to start at home. So this is our proposal. We think it's important to create a campaign against machismo for men and giving them talks about the topic, changing their perspective of women. It's not just about taking care of our families or doing chores, it's about so much more. We have the same rights as men and are capable to work too. Therefore, we should be taken seriously. As a summary, our proposal is to make our voices be heard by getting together, supporting each other, and taking action in such an important issue. Thank you for listening, and remember, the future is female.